All right, so we talked about your grip. We talked about trigger press, your stance, your posture. We've talked about sight alignment. Now we're going to actually engage a target. We're going to actually put all those methods into play. So we have our weapon, we have our magazine, which is indexed, placing it in, going into grip, dropping slide, engaging target. So that's how it should look at first. Now, as you build skill level, you'll develop speed. So when you get into a situation like that, then you want to start practicing some of those other methods we talked, maybe with tactical reloads. So when I draw my weapon, I'm in a situation, I got a closed slide on an empty gun. So I'll index my mag, slap it into position, charge the weapon, get on target, and fire. Now what we're going to look at is engagement of a target. But before we actually engage the target, I want to talk to you a little bit about understanding your target. Your target is cut into 4 quadrants. You got your low, your left, your right, and your high. So basically, these are going to represent whatever difficulty, obstacle, or problem that you've developed. If you're shooting low on the target, this is called anticipating the shot. This is where your body is so worried about that gun going off that at that very last minute, you're pushing forward to compensate for the recoil. And it's usually because shooting is new to you. And at the same time, that action, that rearward momentum is actually causing flinch. So you're shooting south. The best way to eliminate this problem is stop thinking about the trigger. Once you engage that trigger, it's perpetual motion. Forget about it. Move on to the sights. Maintain sight alignment at all times. Let that gun go off, be a surprise. And if you can do that, you'll hit that X. Now let's talk about the right-hand side. If you're a right-hand shooter and your impact is on the right-hand side of the target, that is your trigger control. Basically, instead of pressing, you're doing what we call hooking or pulling the trigger off target. So it can all be solved by reverting back to what we originally explained with trigger press and put the trigger on the middle of the end bone. Now, if you're shooting on the left-hand side, this is a different problem. It's still with trigger press, but instead of pulling it off, you don't have enough finger on your trigger. You're actually using your fingertip. So the momentum is actually shifting everything over to the left-hand side. So simple solution, once again, same as the right-hand side. Recenter your trigger press. Now, if you're shooting high, this is a clear example of poor sight alignment. Your sights need to be flush, top to top, with the target cut in half. And you need equal amounts of space between the front sights on either side, shadowing the rear sights. We've gone over that in detail under trigger press, and if this is a problem, I suggest going back to that and getting a better idea. All right, we talked about your stance. We talked about your grip. We talked about reloads. We covered quite a bit. So what we're going to do is put it all together and show you what it should look like. One of the things you're going to see is the natural posture. It's after stance. Once you got your stance in, you got your support foot forward, your strong side at the 4 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 4 o'clock. You put some bounce in your knees, hips backwards, shoulders forward, draw stroke, fire. So here would be a live fire demonstration of the same thing. Support foot, strong side, shoulder distance apart, bend in the knees, hips out, forward, fire. Looks like that. Now, what we're going to do is implement a reload. So we'll come in, support foot, strong side, shoulder distance apart, bounce in the knees, hips back, posture forward, draw, fire. Now we're coming across, index the magazine into the workspace, fire. Now you've been able to actually engage your stance, load your weapon, fire, reload your weapon, reholster, and you're safe. So if you keep practicing that time and time again, you will develop that muscle memory that we keep telling you about. Static shooting. What we're going to do is sort of put a lot of what we've explained into motion on the target. So this way you can sort of get an idea of how you should be practicing. I see a lot of people at the range upright, standing straight, looking at the target, ping, ping, ping. You know, at the end of the day, recoil's pushing them back because they got poor posture, poor footing. And ultimately, as they keep shooting, they're going further and further back. And next thing you know, they look like they're shooting from a lazy boy. So we want to eliminate this possibility with you. It's not a good place to be and to have those kind of bad habits instilled. So what we want to do is show you how it should look when you're at the range. So basically, I've had someone slip a dummy round into one of my magazines. I don't know which. It's probably the one that's loaded with. So what I'm going to do is fire on the target. When I come into a jam or a malfunction, I'm going to clear my weapon, reload, and get back on target. So what you're going to do is you basically start with your draw presentation. You draw your weapon, fire. Fire again, and then fire again. Oh, there's my malfunction. I drop my mag, come over, clear it, back on target. Now you can shoot at your speed. Usually if you're shooting 1 every 2 seconds, it'd look something like this. And somewhat accurate. Speed it up, it starts getting a little crazy. And as you notice, your groups will open up considerably as well too. But really that's the kind of speed that you're sort of working for.